Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding." I want to talk about the scripture because it's been bugging me and it's been popping up everywhere I go, and sometimes God does that on purpose because he really wants to reinforce something. And I think in my current situation I understand why he may want to reinforce it, because I'm just faced with a challenge that really requires me to trust God because only he can get me out of this mess. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Thokozo Mazimboba, and for the longest time this has been my favorite scripture. You know how like when you're in Sunday school you get to pick a scripture that you like? This was the one that I liked, although in my tiny little mind at the time I didn't know, what it fully means to trust God with all your heart. Sometimes you realize that you do have a picture of what it means to trust God, but with all your heart, that's something different, because sometimes we want to leave room for our intelligence, our thought process. Sometimes you want to leave room for your finances. So it's okay, when I'm faced with this crisis, my money will get me out of it. When I'm faced with that, I can count on so and so to help me with that. But the question I was faced with was, do I really trust God with all my heart? Because this is another challenge. When you are naturally a smart person, it's very easy to lean on your own understanding. I mean, as a human being, it's very easy to lean on your own understanding, because you know that 1 + 1 = 2. So now when someone tells you that 1 + 1 can also be equal to 5, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. So what I'm saying is, sometimes we trust God, but not actively trusting God. Like, what do you do the moment you're tempted to overthink, or the moment you find yourself overthinking, or the moment you find yourself worried and overwhelmed? Because those are some of the things that reflect the level at which you trust God. Are you gonna be super frustrated with your problems because you don't see the solution, or you're gonna allow God to be God and trust that in his sovereignty he'll provide you with a solution, and you just rest in him and not be frustrated and not be stressed and be calm, which is a very difficult thing to do if you are just a normal human being. But this scripture invites us to trust in him with all our hearts. It says, do not lean on your own understanding. There's a possibility, there's a huge temptation to lean on your understanding when you're facing anything, but the scripture invites us to not even make room to lean on it. So trust God like you're crazy. Trust God like you have no sense left in you. Trust God even when you can see this problem has no solution on earth. You trust God. You believe in your heart that God will be God and make a way, because that's what God does. That's what God does. Trust him with the impossible. Trust him with the dead things. Trust him with the dry bones. Trust him with everything, with all your hearts. Trust him with your biggest fears. Trust him with your wildest dreams that you think you're probably not going to be able to achieve. Trusting him with all your heart means that there's no part of you that depends on you for anything, but you fully trust him with all your heart. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the scripture. Let me know what you think in the comment section.